Cool. I guess we can get started because these are usually a little bit shorter now, considering we don't go through the initial kind of extended talk of the Epoch review. Thanks everyone for tuning in for this. The Epoch 13 and review and AMA. I guess there'll just be me, Josh, Clifton, and Corey today, and Carl from the DYDX grants team will come on probably towards the end to just answer a few grant specific questions that we picked up on the social channels. And just a few touch points for today. Obviously, as usual, try and keep some questions until the end. We'll try and keep probably half an hour for questions today, which will be great. It gives everyone a chance to answer anything to the trading team or the foundation team that they want. Hopefully, everyone has had a chance to either look through the deck or will do after this to answer some questions if they have. And the few questions that have been collected today will hopefully provide some insight into that. Cool. I think that's about it. Corey, it's great to see you and have you on here again today. I guess we can start off with the first few DYDX trading questions. Few that have came in, and I think everyone kind of is keen to find out a bit more information on is how's building the DYDX chain coming along?
Yeah, certainly. Things are kind of going on as expected. So, late August, we had released that blog post kind of about the various timelines on everything relating to V4. And we seem to be operating on those timelines still. So that's a good thing. Nothing has really been pushed back or anything. Right now, we're still kind of building the internal testnet. So we've completed building epochs out. We've completed building out sending assets, and continue to work on things such as the indexer, which is approximately 75% complete. Funding rates, liquidations, and more. So yeah, it's kind of a quick update on kind of how the testnet is going. Just a lot of engineering work that is ongoing. A lot of the team is working on it, so we probably have close to 85% of the engineering team at this point working on V4. So yeah, all good things on that front, but everything's kind of going steady here.
Nice. No, that sounds awesome. And mentioning the testnet there, can you kind of talk through that private testnet, what this potentially may include, and who may have access to it?
Yeah, so I mean, the private testnet will kind of have a lot of the features that people will expect on the mainnet, but it'll just be pretty rough around the edges. So really just trying to get to a better idea of what sort of bugs there will be, and also just recruiting various validators to help us with the testnet and operating it. And I think that feedback is going to be really valuable in determining, kind of best practices of how to set up the mainnet. And so, if anyone is interested in participating in the testnet, definitely would encourage you guys to fill out the Google form, I think, or whichever form we ended up creating. I forget now, but that form is linked in that blog post. And if anyone who fills out that form should probably hear back from someone on our team just to get to have an intro call, just figure out, if that entity might be a good participant in the testnet.
Nice, that's exciting. Thanks, Corey. And then obviously there were a couple of recent blog posts that came out which were pretty informative for everyone. Are there plans to produce more of those, like the recent milestones one, over the next few weeks, few months?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, transparency is something we want to continue to improve upon and get better at. So certainly expect more on that front, whether it's blog posts, FAQs, things like that. Certainly plan on releasing more of that in the coming months.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I guess moving away from kind of the V4 side of things and moving on to kind of the recent free trading, I guess how's the free trading performing in relation to kind of your expectations at trading?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something we're still trying to dig into a little bit more, given that it's like not opt-in. Basically, everyone is automatically opted in. It's a little bit hard to suss out exactly what people are coming to the exchange for. But having said that, it's going fairly well. I wouldn't say it's like mind-blowing results by any stretch of the imagination. So we're still monitoring it. If the community has any feedback on whether or not like we should keep it up or take it down, feel free to kind of give us feedback on that. I guess the only reason to deactivate it would basically be because smaller traders wouldn't get trading rewards unless you're like doing over $100,000 in volume over a 30-day rolling period. So I think we witnessed that in this latest epoch that there were a lot fewer traders earning DYDX rewards because they didn't pay any fees on the exchange. So that's kind of the trade-off really at the moment. There doesn't seem to be any like gaming of the free trading, which is good. So yeah, that main question is the one that we'll have to kind of decide on.
No, that's great. Thanks for providing that sort of clarity there. Cool. Next thing that came in from a user on Twitter is what's the overall goal for DYDX in terms of like market share, volume users? It would be helpful for them to kind of understand the overall goal there, if you can share that. Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, long term, the ultimate goal is going to be to become the largest exchange in crypto. That's obviously a very long term goal. In the short term, I would say our main goal by the end of the year is to get to like 2% market share for perpetuals. We're not so far away from that. We're probably somewhere around like 1.5%. But yeah, that's kind of like the differences between the short-term goal of 2% market share versus the long-term goal of just, the biggest exchange, which isn't 100% market share, but is, I don't know, it evolves with, market dynamics over time.
Thanks. Yeah, that makes sense. And last couple, Corey, does DYDX plan to attend any events for the last quarter of the year?
Yeah, so we have a lot of people going to Token 2049 in Singapore later this year. We'll also have a couple of folks at least going to DevCon later this year as well. And besides that, I think those are the major two that we plan on attending right now. But yeah, things could change. But at the very least, we'll be at those two.
Sweet, that's exciting. Anyone here going there, do reach out and you can come and hang with the team. And the last thing, Corey, will there be an Android app in the future? And if so, is there any ETA on this?
Yeah, so we do have an Android app that is being built. I don't have a good ETA at the moment, but yeah, we do have one lead mobile engineer who is focusing 100% of his time on this. And so, yeah, maybe within the next 3 to 4 months, but that could change.
Awesome. No, that sounds great. Thanks, Corey. That's it from kind of the trading questions so far. For all those who are interested in just grabbing a POOP, there is a POOP form. I think it will be in the Hedgies General channel. Go into there. The secret word is POOP. Alucard will post that now. So by all means, claim your POOP. The secret word is POOP. So yeah, it's just been posted. Thanks, Alucard. That's brilliant. Cool. Next, let's move on to the foundation. So for Josh and Cliff, I guess either of you can answer this one. Are there any new foundation initiatives that we're excited about, that we're currently running, that the community are getting excited about?
Yeah, I can jump in first. Cliff, feel free to follow along afterwards. But I think, you're starting to see, like, at least I'm most excited about, you're starting to see proposals come down that are getting our most active community members involved in like a pretty great capacity. perfect example of that is like what's happening to the alternative borrowing pool that TrueFi is currently running with. Still TBD. I believe they're waiting until the current borrowing pool is like wound down before the actual formal proposal goes live. But I guess nice to see that there is like, open requests for comments from the community, but also like large opportunities for active community members to get involved. Part of this proposal involves this portfolio manager type role coming in, where there is likely going to be DYDX community members sitting on a multi-sig that are, probably going to be in charge of onboarding new users to the TrueFi borrowing pool, or new borrowers to the TrueFi borrowing pool, as well as like deciding which rewards pools are going to receive DYDX rewards. So I think, great opportunity for active community members to get more closely involved with the DYDX DAO beyond, just the grants program and the ambassador program. Also have heard from a few other interested parties about potentially getting some, yield generating strategies going with reference to funds from the community treasury. Nothing's been posted on the forums yet, but I think, I'm just excited to see the community, I think, get more active in the DAO itself. Be it doubling down on allowing ambassadors to kind of branch out and have a more active role in other DAO operations, or, new active community members who express interest and have, professional knowledge and or like interest in given areas where they can really, be focused and be working on the types of things that interest them and benefit the ecosystem overall. Kind of a long-winded way of saying, I guess, the initiatives that I'm looking forward to. Cliff, I don't know if you wanted to chime in there, or James, anything new on the community side that you wanted to talk about as well?
Yeah, I think you covered it really well. I think something else that I think we're all super excited about is the number of grants applications coming in. So just to touch on like the enthusiasm on the community now that we have the DYDX grants program relaunch for version 1.5. We've been getting a lot of DMs just on whether people would want to submit grants, and they're actually explaining a lot of their intent of launching applications and checking with us. Not saying that the foundation is in any way gatekeeping any of these applications, but just the sheer volume of community members reaching out and asking whether they can actually apply for grants or not is just really encouraging. So yeah, just want to add that point.
Yeah, and lastly on my end, I think there's a lot of like community initiatives that are being ran from community members, a lot of events, a lot of posts that are going on Commonwealth to drive some form of smaller community initiatives. So exciting to see how that progresses over the next epoch and quarter. And if anyone's got any questions or wants to help and provide value in any way, then by all means reach out to any of us, the grants team, ambassadors, community managers, etc. And we'll try and put you in touch with the right people. And Josh, just revisiting your point, and in terms of that post, is that live yet? How do community members get involved? Is that kind of upcoming over the next period of time?
Yeah, I would say for both initiatives, not really at liberty to disclose any more info, and that you kind of have to wait until it goes live. But from my understanding, should be in the extremely near future. I think any time that you are interested in getting involved with any of the initiatives, like, feel free to post on Commonwealth in the forums. I'm always happy to provide referrals. If you DM me any of the relevant chats inside of Discord, there's I think multiple mediums for which you can reach out to the team if you do see an area of need that you would like to get involved with, that you feel like you are well suited to assist with.
Nice, cool. Next question that came in is can the foundation briefly touch on the changes that are going to be occurring within this epoch and the next?
Yeah, for sure. I think Cliff and I can kind of collab on this. There's like 4 kind of initiatives I think that are in my mind. Cliff, let me know if you think I've missed anything. One is revisions to the trading rewards formula. So just quick recap for everybody. We initially, the change was initially made on August 12th, at which time sent out an announcement on Discord because that was the date that SLN Capital submitted the off-chain DIP. Previously, we would implement these formula changes like as soon as that process took place. Just had always been the way that we had done things. I think after pretty negative feedback from the community about like a mid-epoch change to the trading rewards formula, ultimately made the decision to change the formula back to its, I guess, the way it was before. Previous formula based on, average open interest, stake DYDX, and fees. So on the 15th, August 15th, we announced that the formula would be the same for Epoch 13. And that, I guess, trading rewards formula revision went into effect at the beginning of Epoch 14. So as of August 30th at 3 p.m. UTC. So for Epoch 14, trading rewards are going to be based on fees paid. There is a pretty good, I would say, thread on Commonwealth, and you can check out like the results of the snapshot, but that change has been made. Moving on, another proposal from SLN Capital was revising the LP rewards formula, and that was basically changing the weights for BTC and ETH markets, as well as other non-BTC and ETH markets to increase the weight of volume. It was also a topic of discussion to just move to volume fully, but saw this as more of a, I guess, moderate step towards potentially getting there at some point in the near future. Last part of that proposal was changing the, I guess, allocation of rewards from 20% to BTC and ETH markets to 10% to each of those respective markets, so 20% total, and then 80% going to the rest of the markets. I think one huge takeaway from the revisions to the trading rewards formula that the foundation, is now super sensitive to is just taking into consideration the impact that formula changes have on our users, and ultimately, we want to ensure like the best user experience possible, and it's unjust to a certain extent to make mid-epoch formula changes whenever, staking is involved. Just the way that these staking contracts are designed, you have to request to withdraw in one epoch before the blackout period, which is in the last 14 days of that given epoch. And then in the following epoch, you can actually withdraw your, staked USDC or staked DYDX. So with the shrinking of the weight of staked UIDX, we're advising the community to take this into consideration when submitting proposals, I think, moving forward. Specifically with the revisions to the LP rewards formula, the next step here is for SLN Capital or another community member to submit an off-chain DIP, at which point we are recommending that the changes go into effect at the beginning of Epoch 15, which we have been announcing. So that's September 27th, I believe, after 3 p.m. UTC. Next two proposals are winding down the borrowing pool and reducing trading rewards by 25%. I would say starting with winding down the borrowing pool, community member indicated that they may be starting an on-chain vote to set the rewards rate to 0, essentially, and shrinking the blackout window to 3 days. So again, taking into consideration that users need to request to withdraw staked USDC, we're recommending that this change goes into effect after September 27th, which means that users are going to have the opportunity to request to withdraw staked USDC and then formally withdraw that USDC in the following epoch. So no firm, I guess, commitment there, just because it is definitely wholly up to the community member on like when they create the proposal, but probably looking towards the end of this epoch, you'll see like an on-chain vote if they decide to launch it. Similar, I guess, dynamic with reducing trading rewards by 25%. With the reduction of trading rewards to, I think it was like 2.8 million. I think a recommendation here is, again, like similar vein. With the reduction in trading rewards, we want to give our users, our community, basically sufficient notice to recalibrate strategy and decide how they want to interact with the DYDX exchange moving forward. Similar recommendation there was that changes should not be going in effect until Epoch 15, which is again September 27th. So I think, a lot came out of the revision to the trading rewards formula, and I think, taking into consideration the impact it has on our users was like the major takeaway there, which is why, it's slowed down, I think, implementation of these governance proposals a little bit more, but I think ensuring, fairness for our users and like a consistent user experience is kind of trumped those concerns. But I'll let Cliff jump in if you wanted to add anything else.
Yeah, I think like one last proposal that's on the back burner is the adding of 15 new assets. So this past snapshot vote as well, and I'm not sure whether everyone has seen this, but Reverie kind of posted an update 2 weeks back just saying that adding these new assets has been postponed until the launch of V4, just because it made it unreasonable to allocate resources across all parties required to push this through, especially knowing how much it would be kind of duped again shortly after once we migrate over to the Cosmos ecosystem. So the process for listing assets through an on-chain vote using the StarkX governor is super complex and one that will no longer be applicable on the DYDX chain. That said, they are saying that these assets are not being abandoned, nor are they dropping the new asset listing group, but it's just being paused until further notice from the V4 launch. Just wanted to add that in.
Cool. Thanks for running through those, guys. That was really helpful. I guess we can move on to the next point, and I'm not sure if you guys can answer this pretty accurately yet, but how does the Foundation view governance come V4?
Yeah, for sure. I can jump in here. I think, still very early stages in terms of like thinking through like what governance looks like. I think first step for us is like scoping out what is already in existence on the Cosmos ecosystem and what is possible, essentially like doing, a competitive analysis, seeing if we can put a spec together of like what the ideal governance system or process would look like. Still very early stages, and I would say like heavily dependent, I think, on kind of like the product as well and the efforts that DYDX trading are putting in, but something that is going to be, I think, top of mind and one of our huge priorities in the next few months is going to be having like a fully scoped out plan. But on the flip side of that, I think a large opportunity, I believe I was, DMing back and forth with Kagan a few weeks ago, just about any recommendations that you guys have, any issues that you see with like V3 governance, if you're knowledgeable about the Cosmos ecosystem, or notice something that you think specifically needs to be changed or that we need to look out for in terms of like governance design, governance mechanism, please feel free to get in contact with anybody from the Foundation. I think definitely receptive to community feedback there. I think another, I guess, like exciting part of, the ecosystem is working with or off of, the work product that grants recipients are producing. I know Reverie has issued at least one grant in terms of looking at like what the migration of the potential token from V3 to V4 looks like. And I think, it's going to be a collective effort from not only the foundation, but the broader ecosystem, including, ambassadors, the grants program, other active community members, in terms of like scoping out what the ideal kind of governance system looks like on V4. I think Carl will probably touch on that a little bit later.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. And then I can probably answer this one, but noticed some posts about the DRC for Ambassador Program and Snapshot. Can you explain the reasoning here? Yeah, for sure. I mean, just to provide some context, that the foundation announced at the start of Season 0 of the Ambassador Program that a snapshot and community vote would occur just between Season 1 and Season 2. Obviously, we've just started Season 2, but it's really just to establish whether or not to continue with the current Ambassador Program structure and each respective borough. I mean, there's 5 working groups currently, and there's been some constructive feedback on Commonwealth as of recent, which has been great. So if anyone's interested in finding out more, head over to Commonwealth and have a read through a couple of the posts by community members there, and also take part in the snapshot vote. And I'm not sure if that's gone live yet or not, but essentially that's over the next few days, on whether or not we can continue with the program as a kind of a group of 13 community members, providing value to the DYDX ecosystem. So I encourage you to check that out, and we can provide more updates post snapshot vote there. Cool. And the last question here, do you want to touch on anything else, Josh? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the snapshot vote, I believe voting starts at 10:30 UTC. I'm off in Canada right now, so I had to do the conversion quickly, but 10:30 UTC should be when voting starts, and voting will last for 4 days on Snapshot.
Awesome, thanks. And last question just was about merch. Is there any ETA when this will become available? Obviously, there's been a new channel on Discord. I mean, it's probably a grants question for Carl, who I don't think is in here just yet, and he's going to pop in hopefully towards the latter half of this Epoch review AMA. But I think from speaking to the merch team and finding out bits and bobs, because we're all excited about that, I think hopefully by the end of this month we'll have a little bit more information there, and we'll get them on for an AMA so you guys can ask any questions about any DYDX merch. Cool. I guess that's it from all the questions you guys had. You can use this time now to ask anything yourself, and we can bring you up on stage. So if anyone's got any questions, by all means, just raise your hand, and we'll invite you up on the stage. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes anyway to decide if they want to come up on the stage. In the meantime, Corey, Josh, Cliff, is there anything else that you want to touch on, or? No. Cool. No questions for anyone? Bro, Alucard, welcome.
Hey everyone, thanks for taking my question here. My question is, how could community members go about proposing tokenomics or governance proposals for V4? I know we currently have a few grants and the research grant that has been awarded, but is there going to be any other formal ways of, proposing more complete proposals for that?
Yeah, great question. I think in terms of structuring a process, we haven't put together a formal process for community members to get involved beyond, I think, just what you typically see on Commonwealth, where it's going to take somebody, I think, to put together a more fully fleshed out set of ideas on Commonwealth, and then to iterate based off of comments from other active community members. In terms of, I guess, like specifically related to like V4, the V4 token as well as like tokenomics, we have gotten some community members who have reached out just in terms of like expressing interest in putting similar proposals on the forums. Unfortunately, haven't seen, I mean, like there's been a few, I would say, like discoordinated and not fully fleshed out threads, but it's definitely something that we are looking forward to because I think it's like issues that are going to start to come up and become like top of mind in the near future. And I think having, research grants to kind of back up those proposals or spur discussion is going to be super helpful. But nothing, I think, like beyond the previous like governance processes or governance life cycle in terms of like stimulating the discussion. Does that answer your question, Alfred?
Yeah, I do have a follow-up on that.
Sure.
Does foundation or trading or grants in the future plan to create additional incentives for community members to present more complete and formalized proposals for before?
I guess, like, could you be more specific in what you mean by incentive?
Yeah, right now we have seen sort of small conversations around tokenomics and proposals for B4 on Commonwealth and Discord. But there isn't really any current grants out there or any way for any incentive for community members to maybe collaborate and present more complete vision proposals for that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's a good question for Carl, just because Foundation doesn't really have formal input on, or like official, formal input on the grants RFP process. Definitely like arm's length, but I think you raised like a very interesting point in that like people are putting in like a ton of time, and definitely hear you that like people should be getting compensated for that time, whether that's in the form of grants or some other type of reward.
Yeah, perhaps
I'd be happy to kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
Perhaps some sort of competition for that.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
No, I think to the extent the foundation can help, definitely help. Happy to like spin ideas with you. If you have something in mind that could be linked, to DYDX DAO in terms of just getting like ideation going and strategizing about like what governance in V4 tokenomics, all of these things are going to like look like, because they are like huge issues to grapple with. And I think, multiple viewpoints, especially coming from the community, is going to be super helpful.
Awesome. Thank you.
Brill. Thanks, Elicard.
Sure.
Cool. We got one question. I'll bring you up on stage.
Hi.
Hey, Bart. Go ahead.
My question is, are you accepting right now new ambassadors? And if yes, how can I submit my application?
Yeah, I can take this one. There was a pause on the ambassador program. It's kind of the middle of season 1. It hasn't really been decided whether there's going to be an increase in ambassadors for season 2. I mean, I encourage you to post on Commonwealth for the reasonings why we potentially would need more. And there is an application on the original ambassador form that's posted on the Commonwealth forums that I encourage you to check out. But like as of right now, that hasn't really been in discussion, to be honest. And I think it also depends on each ambassador borough and working group whether they feel that they require an additional functioning member. So I think a couple of steps: check on Commonwealth and read through some of the comments there. Reach out to some of the ambassadors and just to find out what value you could provide there, as well as your kind of favorite working group that you feel that you can help with. And then there may be an opportunity to become an ambassador through this season. Nothing set in stone, as we said, but there was a pause on hiring for ambassadors per se. But yeah, I mean, until this snapshot voting passes anyway, I think everything's still up in the air. But I'd suggest reach out to ambassadors check out on the Commonwealth forums, and then we could potentially look at getting you on board there.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. Right, I'll get Carl on for the last 10 minutes. Hey, Carl.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Not too bad.
Apologies that I had to miss out earlier on at a conflict. Good to be here.
No probs. There's just a couple of questions. It'd be great to just get your input on. The first one came in from the community. Was what's the approach to V1.5 that's different from V1 for grants?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. And I would point to kind of our targets post that we had posted ahead of the launch. But basically, and can drop that. Well, but basically, we looked back at what we did in V1, and in V1, we were really finding our footing to some extent, and we were looking at expanding and kind of like tackling as many different projects as we could, and that translated into funding a lot of different initiatives that were also tackling some of the same grounds, same topics. You saw a lot of newsletters, you saw a lot of different tooling, and you saw a lot of marketing sponsorships and events. And we looked back at that and we kind of assessed what the what the best performances were and what we think would translate best now in this existing environment, now that we are aware of the upcoming forward migration. And the way that it translated is a much bigger focus on international growth and research and Cosmos relevant migration topics, and a lower focus on external tooling and kind of what we're calling like sporadic content generation. Just because we saw a lot of awesome tools get built, and personally I was very excited about them, but we're not seeing them being used a lot by the community. And that's how it is, right? There's nothing we can do about that. We can't force people to use tools that are being built by grantees. But what we can do is to stop funding grants that are building tools if people aren't going to use them, because that's just a misallocation of funds, right? And we'll see what it's like in V4. There's a potential there for a revamp of tooling, I think, but for the time being, in order for grants to remain very impactful for V4, we think a bigger focus on growing users through international growth marketing, and a focus on tackling some of the important questions like, what will the DAO look like in V4? What would MEV look like? What is the DYDX token going to look like, which we know is something that the community has to tackle? What will parameters, risk, that sort of thing look like in V4? And then tackling, and we're beginning to tackle at least, some of the Cosmos ecosystem by reaching out, having initiatives, and also beginning to tackle projects like that. So that's kind of the shift, the major shift that we're seeing from V1 to V.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that. That's great context. The next question that came in is, could you talk about like grants, RFPs specifically related to V4, and kind of what specifically DYDX grants are looking for right now?
Yeah, so it's early on, right? We put that out there because we want people to start thinking about it, and we want interested parties who are experienced in this sort of thing to know that we will be looking for grantees and for projects that are tackling these questions. But it's difficult for us as well right now, given the amount of unknowns and unknown unknowns and known unknowns, that are out there, for us to really target down like exact RFPs, which is what we're still working on today, and in the coming week and next, you should see more specific RFPs get released. But for now, we did kind of want to put it out there that we're going to start looking at funding research around what rewards would look like, what the emissions might look like in the new chain. We're seeing changes now to trading rewards, LP rewards, liquidity module, that sort of thing. So like, what can we do differently in the new chain that the community could be a part of in terms of launching and taking ownership of that? Control of it might be my community. and how will the validators play a role? What can we do to potentially incentivize that? And obviously there's the big topic of MEV as well. So we've already funded a grant with Xenophon Labs about token design, given that that was kind of the major topic that we're all aware of, that we know will fall on the community, given their previous grant that was really high impact on the research around trading rewards. We felt that they were very well suited to those big questions. But definitely we're going to be focusing on releasing more specific RFPs so that there's better guidance around that. But for now, we just want the community and others to be aware that we are open to submissions around these questions, and we'll be kind of addressing each one as they come in.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Carl. That was great. And then lastly, based on kind of that recent point you mentioned about Xenophon Labs, I mean, are there any exciting grants that you can talk about that you've also given recently? Any context there would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So we're really excited about that one from Xenophon. Obviously, that, like I said, that's kind of like one of the big topics that we all know now is going to fall in the community. And so there's just this big question mark. It's like, when this time comes, what will that look like, and what will we do? And so that grant is really, its primary goal is to have a resource for the community to fall back on, so that when the question comes, there is potentially a resource that we can all use, say, playbook, a guideline for us to implement changes, the same as kind of what we saw with recent changes. Trading rewards, the paper has been referenced a ton, and we've been able to all fall back on and say, okay, well, look back at this, there's a reason to make this change based on results that we found in that. So we're hoping for a similar impact there. Obviously super excited about the merch grant as well. We have seen this team produce really high quality merch already based on the existing things that are out there. And so we're really excited to really revamp this up now and scale things up so that we can grow the brand even further and have presence in IRL events and make stronger initiatives for participation with potential merch rewards and stuff like that. And then I'm also just super excited about the Academy page. I've seen lots of already great initiatives from the Academy. Being able to merge all of these into one and have all of our community work on this together to create the best possible Academy page out there that competes with all of the Academy pages that we all know are existing today. And that really helps, again, with community and new users that are going to be joining in the V4 have really like an awesome safe haven for education, resources, kind of like a gamification of the process, and like videos and lots of different languages and everything all in one place that we expect to be like on brand with the amazing UI UX that UIDX has. That should be really high impact. We're just really excited about that one.
Yeah, likewise. I think all those grants are something that we're really excited to see be produced as well and make its impact on the ecosystem. So thanks for that, Carl. Appreciate the update. Cool. I guess that's everything today and for this Epoch 13 review and AMA. If there's anything else, by all means ask a question in the channel on Discord, and we can bring it up to the team and or others. But thanks for coming on, posting your questions and asking the team these. I think keep up the comments and interactions. Obviously, it's really encouraging to see all the support and feedback. It's something that we really value at the foundation, and I know DYDX trading team pay attention to it as well. So keep that coming. So on that note, this, as usual, will be deciphered and posted as soon as we can. It gets sent off to be translated and transcribed, should I say. So as soon as that's ready, we'll post it out on the blog as usual. And that's it. I'm not sure if, Josh, you wanted to jump on and say anything else?
No, nothing for me. I was just going to thank you for hosting and thank everybody for participating.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Corey. Cheers, Cliff. Thanks, Alicard and Carl for coming on. We'll close that off and we'll catch you there next time. Thanks, everyone.